Hello, this is my testimonial for the Emotion Code by Dr. Bradley Nelson. So I've had a long history of struggling with chronic illness. It started when I was very young, and year after year as I grew older, I got one additional thing that it seemed like was popping up. I was dealing with chronic fatigue syndrome, multiple chemical sensitivity, fibromyalgia, dysautonomia, neuropathy pain, chronic body pain all over the place, poor mobility and strength. It was a nightmare. And I went through the Western medicine runaround like many other people. I came across ancestral nutrition and a lot of lifestyle practices that can help to reduce stress and shift the microbiome, all that good stuff. And I found amazing results, significant progress in just about every area of my life. I would say, over the past 5 or 6 years, I have gotten 90 to 95% of the way in overcoming all of these chronic illnesses. But there have been some things that have not been impacted fully. And I came across the Emotion Code just a couple of months ago. And within a couple of weeks of releasing some of these emotions, I have seen these sort of lingering, nagging, remaining symptoms that I've still been working on pretty much disappear and evaporate like that. So specifically, I have had extremely tight hip flexors and hips my entire life. And it's always been very strange because it never seems to come from anything. I've just always been that way. There was never any trigger event, nothing really stressful that caused that. It always just seemed to be who I was. I was just really tight and I carried all of my tension in my gut and in my pelvis and hips. And I actually ended up having 2 inguinal hernia surgeries when I was in grade school, which is extremely rare. And I believe that was due to me bearing down all of the time in combination with, my microbiome not being in very good shape and not absorbing my food very well. My mobility and strength in these areas had been so poor my entire life. I needed to see a chiropractor and a personal trainer on a regular basis in order for me to find even some moderate relief in those areas. And both of them had told me that I had the tightest hips and tightest hip flexors they had ever seen on anyone they had ever worked with. Seriously, like bar none, by far. It was me. My hip flexors were like guitar strings, really tightly wound. And within doing the Emotion Code releases, releasing my heart wall, releasing all of these inherited emotions that I had from 6, 7, 8 generations down the line that I had inherited from, the tension from my body dropped almost instantaneously. All of this tension that I was holding in my hips and hip flexors was just inherited emotions from my parents, my grandparents, and all of my earlier ancestors. And these were things that I could easily release in less than 10 minutes. It's just remarkable how simple Dr. Brad has made this process. I feel so much more present and calm and loose and flexible in my own body. I can physically feel energy being able to flow more freely up and down and throughout my entire body because I had so many energy blocks from all of these trapped emotions. When I removed my heart wall, it was one of the most wonderful experiences I have ever had in my life. It was like I let go of a backpack of 1,000 pounds that I had been carrying my entire life. It is magical work, miraculous, fantastical, unbelievable stuff. So much of our suffering and our pain can be easily released. We don't need to be holding on to these things. And it's just difficult because we're not always aware of how these traumas and these trapped emotions get stuck inside of our body. But we can let go of them very easily with the Emotion Code. So I am incredibly grateful for Dr. Bradley Nelson and all of his work. I'm continuing to geek out and learn more about how to apply this to myself and to other people in my own practice. And I hope I can get to meet Dr. Bradley Nelson one day. Maybe I can interview him on my channel. And that's basically it. That's my testimonial. So if you are on the fence about trying the emotion code or the body code by Dr. Bradley Nelson, I would say undoubtedly try it. You have nothing to lose. And we can pretty much assume that every single person in the entire world has some sort of trapped emotion, either, in their physical body or around their heart, that they can release, and they can live a more prosperous, loving, joyful life. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.